just left Seebert, starting off down the Greenbrier River Trail, heading south. It's downhill, but I'll be going downhill for tonight. Find a campsite, and then decide in the morning what to do. It is just about 10 minutes to 4 in the afternoon on a beautiful September 9th. It's beautiful out here. It's less than 70 degrees now. There's the Greenbrier River. There are some houses along the Greenbrier River Trail in this location. We just passed mile marker 45. Another house site along the rail trail. Two houses actually. And some bikers. There's a one of the whistle posts. Just a concrete post beat off at the top with a W on it, which was to remind the railroad engineer, train engineer, to blow their whistle because they were coming up on a crossing. So we'll get down here in a little bit and find out what the crossing is. We just passed mile marker 43, heading south on the Greenbrier River Trail. And you can see how the trail has changed. There's a lot of grass in the center. And it's just one track on each side. I'm riding opposite side of where I was because it's just easier. It certainly would not be suitable for a trike, I would not think. You could do it on a recumbent. I've never mentioned, but I used to ride recumbents. I had a couple of them. Full-on recumbents or what we call a long wheelbase recumbent. I call them a full-on recumbent. To a crank forward recumbent, which was made by Rance, which was similar to an upright bicycle, only you sit in a much more relaxed posture and the pedals are below you but they're out in front of you. One thing you want to think about when you're riding as a disabled person, or an even older person for that matter, you don't want to go as fast as you used to, or maybe as you once could. I have to remind myself of that because it's harder to handle the bike when you have disabilities, and as my doctor told me, don't fall. He said, just don't fall. So that's, to me, it's like telling someone not to breathe. So you got to be mindful of your speed. As far as the friendliness of the trail, I would rate it pretty well for handicapped people, especially people with disabilities. But they could definitely stand to cut some of the bushes back, especially some of the poison, and cut the grass a little bit. It would make it a whole lot easier for us folks with disabilities. And a little bridge across a creek. It's like a road crossing. It says Mountain Playground, Pocahontas County. It's a parking place for access for the trail. And it says stop no motor vehicles beyond this point, prohibited, and then Greenbrier River Trail. I rode the northern section of the Greenbrier River Trail back at the end of July. I rode from Marlinton up to Cass, and then I camped overnight and rode back. That trip was about 50 miles, give or take, probably a little more give than take. Because once you get to mile marker 80, you're still not at Cass. You have to ride a little further to get up to Cass and all of its amenities. But I started out way early in the morning from Marlinton. I had camped there overnight. Got up way early and started heading north toward Cass because I knew how many times I would have to stop and take breaks. But it's doable. But this time I would rather set my mileage at a little more reasonable distance. I think for me, I could do more, but I think in order to be comfortable, I need to set my limits at about 10 miles. Maybe 15 at the most, if I feel good. Take plenty of breaks. Don't overdo it. Take in the scenery, enjoy the peace and quiet. After all, that's what it's all about. We get some really good exercise, and we get to enjoy being out in nature, enjoy the peace and quiet. Just remember that riding on these trails, although they're nice, they are nowhere near as nice or as easy as riding on asphalt. So you need to take that into consideration too. And most of all, you need to stick with the limitations that your doctor puts on you. I'll look around the campsite a little bit. This is where we are. I believe it's called Beaver Creek. I'll have to look. Because obviously there's a creek down there. Beautiful. This is my rig. The bag on top is pretty light. The panniers, that's where all of the camping gear and whatever might be heavy, camping gear, or I'm sorry, cooking gear. Then that's my water bottle setups, my camera, Of course, you have to have a mirror. You want to have a mirror. I wouldn't feel safe riding without one anymore. My water bottle cages, and then my front bag that's an old Jand handlebar bag. I purchased that probably, I don't know, 20, 25 years ago. Here's where you put your tent up. Here's the tent pad. Looks like somebody was nice enough to leave us some firewood. And we've got a picnic table and a fire ring. This particular campsite does not have any water. I guess you could filter from the creek if you had the means to do so, which I do, but I won't. I brought plenty of water. I know this old GoPro Hero 3 is not as nice as my new camera, but it does get the job done. I'll be back when I get the camp set up. Well, I'm at the campground and I've got my tent and everything set up. I've even got my bear bag set up for the night. There's a bottle tide that I threw over the tree limb all the way up there. And what'll happen is I'll tie my bag to it and hang my food way out over that downhill gully area toward the creek. You can see where somebody's been littering back here. And what a shame. And then I'll tie it off to keep undesirable creatures out of my food. I'm going to start a fire here in a few minutes, I hope. Don't think it's too dry. But here's my little tent. This is my summertime tent. And it's got the frame fly and the no-see-um mesh. And then on the inside I just have my sleeping pad, which is an inflatable, self-inflatable. That also inflates to a pillow. And my camp pillow and my 10-degree sleeping bag. And I'll take the cameras and all of the other stuff in there with me. But this is what I do when I go camping. And you can see that everything is relatively flat, or it is flat. And it's easy to get to. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do it. There's a bear-proof trash can, supposedly. And we're looking south on the Greenbrier River Rail Trail. And of course, there's the Greenbrier River. Now, we are west of the Greenbrier River. Eventually we will be on the east side of it. Most of the Greenbrier River runs along the west side of the river, except for a section just south of Marlinton and north of Seebert. And then that runs all the way up to Sharp Tunnel. Sharp Tunnel. Runs north all the way to Sharp Tunnel, and just before you enter Sharp Tunnel you will cross over the Greenbrier River again, and then you'll be on the west side again. It's really beautiful. No horses in this campsite. Well, I'll quit running my trap and get to building that fire. Here's some views of the Greenbrier River just before nightfall. Probably an hour away from that. I like to get into camp early and sit around and enjoy myself. All right. I've got my fire going. I'm getting ready to have some dinner. You can see I've got the fire going. A little secret that I use for getting the fire going is really not a secret at all. I take some petroleum jelly and cotton swabs, or cotton balls rather, and I rub them in the Vaseline or petroleum jelly, whichever you choose to call it, and I put them in just a pain reliever bottle that's empty, and I let them sit in there, and when I want to start a fire I take them out, put them under some kindling, and light them with a lighter, and instant fire. What I'm going to have for dinner tonight is some top ramen and some star-kissed white chicken. That's what my dinner is going to consist of, and probably a cup of coffee. No dessert tonight. I was just leaving Mill Run Campground, heading back up towards Seebert. I want to explore around the Seebert area today and look around and figure out where I'm going to head from there. Hopefully it'll be a good time. It's a beautiful day. Camping last night got a little bit cold, got down in the 40s. I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'4", and my sleeping bag just about completely covers my entire body, but not quite. So I have to improvise to keep from getting cold. But it all worked out, and it was a really good time at the campsite last night. This is the lower Seebert crossing, or Seebert parking area. Heading north on the Greenbrier River Trail. Beautiful day, chilly this morning. I waited until the sun got up really good before I decided to leave camp to dry off my tent and everything from the dew. I would say this trail is pretty friendly for people with disabilities. As long as you don't ride a trike, as long as you take your time. The parking areas so far seem to be really handicap friendly. The campsite that I've stayed in, the one last night was pretty handicap friendly. Of course, no matter what we do, we have to be careful. but everything was flat and level. Weren't any problems with that. They were nice enough to stack some firewood there for us. That way I could have a campfire last night. And that was really cool. The fire was hot and the weather was cool. You can see this is just looks like an old farm road or somebody's unkept driveway. They would come by and cut the grass down and trim some of these limbs that are hanging over. Especially the poison ivy that I've seen. That would make it a whole lot friendlier for us people with disabilities, because we don't have the cat-like reflexes that some other people might have to be able to zig real quick or zag real quick when you see that poison ivy sticking over there. I see a couple of more bikers heading toward us. Beautiful day for it. You can definitely tell that you're going uphill, even if it's ever so slightly. Coming up on mile marker 43. There are concrete mile markers at every mile on the trail, so you never lose track of where you are. You can't get lost. All you have to do is go in a straight line. The problem is how far it is between amenities. Now, somebody that doesn't have a disability, somebody that's maybe not an older rider, won't have any problem with it. Well, I say that, but you never know. But people with disabilities, you've got to pace yourself. You've got to take a little more time to plan. Make sure you carry everything you need. Make sure you're never too far away from, well, help if you need it. Cell phone signal out here is sketchy. That's even more of a reason to plan. And when nighttime comes, I'd say last night from 1800 hours until this morning, I didn't see a soul. Beautiful place. There's some pretty walnut trees lining this section of the trail. I've got plenty of walnut trees at home on our place. As I say always, make sure you check with your doctor before you do any riding on bicycles, even e-bikes. Make sure that it's within your capability to do it, and follow the doctor's instructions. The last thing you want is to feel bad out here, or have something happen to you out here. Here's one of the little pull-off picnic areas. Now this one is not very handicap friendly, but it is beautiful. The river is beautiful. It's no sand in the bottom, it's all rock. But going down a place like that, they do have steps right there, so that's helpful. I guess over here you could, there's like a little dirt path or they've made down to it. So I mean, if you were careful, you could probably access it pretty well. I really do like this trail for a number of reasons, but they do have picnic tables along the way. Not necessarily, well, they're not camp spots. They're just places that you can pull off and have a rest, have a snack, drink some water or whatever you bring with you to drink. And then of course the campsites. They have a pad for your tent if you so choose to use it, which I always do. It's flat and level. And they have fire rings, they have a picnic table. There are campsites throughout the 78 acres, 78 miles of the trail that also have water, restrooms, which are pit toilets, camping pads, Adirondack shelters. It's just a very nice park. It's the longest rail trail in West Virginia. The rail trail was used primarily for lumber, cutting lumber out of this area, from what I can understand. It's very much like the Virginia Creeper Trail in that respect. That was also a rail trail that was used for bringing lumber down out of the mountains. And they have these little signs along the trail. These tell you where you're at, what amenities are available. As you can see, we are a mile from Seebert, and that's some of the things they offer in Seebert. But they're all along the trail as well. Alright, we're at the main Seebert parking area. Little town of Seebert. I want to ride out here on the Tom Edgar Memorial Bridge and look up and down the river. And then I want to ride into the little village of Seebert. I want to visit Jack Horner's Corner, which I'm told is a great place for food and ice cream and supplies and whatever else you may want. There's the Greenbrier River running south where we came from. And then over on this side is heading north. I don't know if you can tell, but the whole bottom of the river is rock, and it's absolutely beautiful. I'm going to ride across this bridge. This bridge will take you to Watauga State Park. There's also camping there. I've been to Watauga State Park, although it's been many years ago. And it's a beautiful place. And there are Airbnbs along the way. The lodge of the Greenbrier River is right here. It's a really nice area. I would highly recommend it if it's within your means to visit. I heard a vehicle coming. Now I'm going to do an old trick that really works for us with disabilities. I'm going to go up north on the trail and I'm going to ride around Seebert, but I don't plan on camping there for tonight. I'm going to go down to probably Droop Mountain and camp, which is south of where we were last night, and I'm going to unload my bike. I'm going to offload a lot of this stuff because there's no point in pulling that extra weight when you don't have to. Even if it's just a little bit, every little bit helps.